Hey guys, welcome to the review and results show for the January 27, 2023 edition of AEW Rampage. My name's Dan, and I review each and every AEW show. That's everything from Dark Elevation to all of their pay-per-views. So if you missed the show and you want to see a quick recap, or maybe you saw the show and you want a place to talk all things AEW, you can do so right here. So please go right below this video, click that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, because not only that let you see future reviews that I do, but also help others to find my channel. And without any further ado, let's get to the review. Rampage kicks off with Hangman Adam Page going up against Wheeler Yuta, and this match started off super hot, with Wheeler going right after Hangman, throwing in a bunch of forearms, nice kicks, even an octopus stretch at one point, really showing that he can hang with a guy like Hangman Page. I really hope we see more of this from Wheeler in the future. We haven't really seen him feature too much on AEW television. It's about time we get more of these matches from him because he's absolutely fantastic. Hangman, though, wasn't going to be denied as he was being just as hard-hitting as Wheeler was. He also launched himself onto Wheeler, who then returned the favor pretty quickly by hitting a tope, but got a little too greedy and tried to go for a second one, which Hangman caught him, hit him with a pop-up powerbomb. Looked so devastating. And then later on, an avalanche Death Valley driver that looked just so good, so insane. I can talk about this match all day and all night. So many great spots here. This match was phenomenal from start to finish. From both men, they really shine here. This was easily match of the night, if not the best match that has ever been on Rampage. It's pretty debatable, and considering the main event, that's saying something because that was great as well, but we'll get to that. Hangman, though, does pick up the win with a buckshot lariat, and then into a Death Rider, sending in a great message to MOXLEY for next week in their match. After that, we see Action Andretti and Ricky Starks backstage after their match on Dynamite, where they lost to Jericho and Sammy Guevara, saying that neither one of them got the job done, but the baseball bat sure did. Hopefully this leads to a match with Andretti and Sammy that I would really enjoy seeing that, and hopefully Starks can get some form of revenge. I would say that maybe he could move on from Jericho, but if the history of Jericho and AEW is any indication, he's probably going to be continuing this feud for a while. After a commercial break, we see Eddie Kingston backstage, basically apologizing to Ortiz for being in the crossfire of Eddie Kingston becoming the real him, because the House of Black said the real him needs to come out, and he's sorry that it has, and that he needs to come home, almost like he needs to go to the House of Black, kind of hinting that that may be a thing, that maybe Eddie Kingston joins the House of Black. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm very excited to see the next encounter that they have. Up next is Best Friends and Danhausen taking on Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh. And kudos to Lethal, who wrestled a very emotional match against Mark Briscoe on Dynamite. I'm sure emotions were still running high in this one, but he's an absolute pro. Well, that's unlike Jay Lethal, who seems to be wrestling on every single show. It's very rare to see Danhausen wrestle, and it's also so nice, so evil to see him here, and we got to see him come out with a ukulele, because, of course, Danhausen is going to come out with a ukulele to parody Jeff Jarrett's guitar. This was another fun one. Danhausen was able to get some offense and stood on top of Jeff Jarrett at one point, which is a line I never thought I would say. You had Trent selling his ass off for Satnam Singh. Chuck did a figure four on Jeff Jarrett, who then dodges an elbow drop from Jay Lethal just by sitting up, which I thought was really clever. But of course, we gotta talk about the great interaction between Danhausen and Satnam Singh. It got a great ovation from the crowd. Huge David versus Goliath feel here, but obviously it's Danhausen, so they all have to get involved to get one over on Satnam Singh. Later on, you had Orange Cassidy hit an orange punch on Sanjay Dutt. Great stuff, but it was Jeff Jarrett who used the Golden Globe that they stole to hit Danhausen, and Satnam just wins just by putting his foot right on top of Danhausen. Looks like this feud is going to continue a little bit longer. We then saw Renee Paquette, who was standing backstage with Ruby Soho after she was victorious over Toni Storm, but was quickly interrupted by Britt Baker, who congratulated her on her win, but Ruby stated that, you know what, I didn't need your help, I didn't want your help, but the most important part of this backstage segment was Britt Baker saying that Ruby needs to choose a side, that you better choose the right one. Basically saying you need to either choose the homegrown stars in AEW or the ex-WWE stars in AEW. I don't know where this is going. I'm very excited to see where this is going. Who will she choose? What side will she choose? Very excited to find out. After that, we get to see Powerhouse Hobbs going up against Tony Mudd. And if you've seen any of Hobbs' matches in AEW in 2023, you know where this is going because he absolutely destroys this man. Yeah, clothesline after clothesline in the corner and quickly finishes him off with a torture rack that into a slam, almost like an F5, but like on his side. Looked really good. Honestly, though, I'm not really sure what's more impressive, the fact that Hobbs beat him up so quickly and so decisively, but the fact that the book that he stood upright at the beginning of the match was somehow still standing up there. I don't know if somebody else put it back up for him, but that was pretty cool to see. Backstage once again, and this time it's Top Flight talking about their most recent success, and they said they called up AR Fox and they want a trios match versus everyone in the Elite. Oh my god, that's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see that. We then switch gears backstage, this time an interview with Renee and Dustin, and it's really been such a rough month for Dustin Rhodes. It's always hard to lose a family member, but when you lose someone like a mother who you're just so close with throughout your entire life, I can't even begin to imagine what that feels like. So happy to see Dustin back, but I'm apparently the only one happy to see Dustin back, as we see Swerve walk into frame, talks a lot of trash about his family, which you don't do, and they have to be separated by refs. Renee can't get out of there quick enough. This is a nice little mini feud for Swerve. I know the matches, or maybe just one match between these two, is going to be fantastic, and I can't wait for Keith Lee to come back and get his revenge on Swerve. And just before the main event, one last backstage interview for the night. Yeah, Lexi Nair standing with Jade, Cargill, and Layla Gray, and when the topic of who's going to be number 50 and 50-0, in comes in Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan. And Red Velvet says that she might have been the first one, but she's going to be the one in 49-1. Very curious to see if they actually decide to drop the title here, because Red Velvet would make a lot of sense to be the next TBS champion. But I kind of feel like this needs to get stretched out to a much bigger event, to maybe a pay-per-view perhaps Revolution, but we'll have to wait and see. Lastly, we have the main event of Rampage with Jamie Hayter defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Emi Sakura, and my god, is Jamie Hayter over. That pop she got was fantastic. She is by far the most over woman in the company right now, and I feel like that's saying something considering where their women's division is at right now, excuse me. And this match, though, was just fantastic. I'm always happy to see a women's match main eventing a Rampage, main eventing a Dynamite. They smacked the absolute hell out of each other, so much so that they left the red marks all over each other's chest, which was quite a visual. Jamie was the one fighting from underneath in this one, really playing the babyface very well. Something we could possibly see more of in the future, depending on how certain storylines go. Emi, like I said, she was just beating the hell out of her, slapped Jamie in the face at one point. Jamie, though, was able to fire back with 3 exploder suplexes, and Emi did a fantastic moonsault, but it was Jamie Hayter here who was able to pick up the win with the Haterade in a fantastic, and I mean fantastic, main event. And that was AEW Rampage. What'd you guys think about it? Please let me know down in the comment section below. Standout matches for me, certainly Wheeler Yuta and Hangman Page just stole the show. Might have been the best Rampage match that I've ever seen. And that main event was just phenomenal between Emi Sakura and Jamie Hayter. With that said, though, if you did enjoy this review, please go right below this video, click that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, because not only does that let you see future reviews that I do, will also help others to find my channel. And thank you guys once again for checking this review out, and thank you guys for being all elites.